everyone, and welcome to Gin and Tonic. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and view my videos weekly. Today is a 2-for-1 special. I wanted to talk about the Vieux Carré. It's a toss-up for me between the Vieux Carré and the Manhattan as far as what my absolute favorite cocktail is. And the Vieux Carré came out of New Orleans, so I thought I would be remiss if I didn't also talk about the Sazerac. The history of the Vieux Carré is a short one. The drink was invented in the 1930s by a bartender, Walter Bougeron, at the Hotel Monteleone at their bar, the Carousel Bar. And if you haven't been there, it's extremely cool. The bar rotates while you're sitting at it, like a carousel does. The term Vieux Carré was coined in the 1890s as the French Quarter was becoming a tourist destination. Vieux Carré itself means Old Square, which is what the French Quarter is now known as. And then there's the Sazerac, which is New Orleans' official cocktail. The history of the Sazerac is a little bit older, and there's a few stories about how it was created. They both involve Antoine Peychaud, who invented Peychaud bitters, who was a Creole who migrated to New Orleans in the 1800s. One of the stories is that Antoine Peychaud himself invented the cocktail and served it as apothecary. The more likely story is that it was invented at the Sazerac Coffee House, using Sazerac de Forge at Fields, which was the most imported cognac at the time. And there they called it the Sazerac cocktail. Later on in the 1870s, you started to see the cocktail being made with whiskey instead of cognac. And this is because in the 1870s, France was hit with phylloxera, which, if you don't know, devastated the wine industry. So they had to find something else to put in the cocktail, and whiskey was readily available in the United States. Vieux Carré is pretty simple to remember. It's equal parts of your whiskey, vermouth, as well as cognac. And then you're gonna do a bar spoonful of Benedictine, and then 2 dashes of Peychauds and 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. First up is going to be my vermouth, and I am using Coqui vermouth, so 1 ounce of this. Next up is our rye. I'm using Redemption rye today, which is a little bit spicier of a whiskey because it's got a higher percentage of rye. And then you can tell I've made myself a few of these because the only cocktail I've used this cognac for is a Vieux Carré. But I had just enough to show you how to make it today. And then I'm gonna do a bar spoonful of the Benedictine, and then we're gonna do 2 dashes each of the Angostura and the Peychauds. Now, this is a spirit-forward cocktail, so just as I've done in the past, I'm going to stir it, not shake it. And then once it's nice and chilled, I'm gonna transfer it over to my rocks glass with a nice cube of ice. And I do use the mold because I prefer to have a large ice cube instead of several ice cubes. The drink does dilute more if you use the smaller ice cubes. Traditional garnish would be a lemon peel and a cherry. I love using fresh citrus because the aromatics it adds to your cocktail really makes a big difference in my opinion. So I'm gonna keep it simple today and just use that. You wanna make sure that when you express it, you do it skin side down so the oils go into your drink. Rub it along the edges, and it is done. And there you have it, Vieux Carré. It's kind of crazy if you try this because it's all alcohol, and somehow adding this combination together makes it extremely smooth and dangerous. Next up is a Sazerac, which is basically a play on an old-fashioned. We're just adding some absinthe to the mix. And you can add the absinthe a number of different ways. If you want to get real cute with it, you can put it in a spray bottle and spray the inside of your glass. You can just as easily do what I am about to do, which is to take a bar spoonful, like a half of a bar spoonful, just to get it into your glass, because you really don't need a lot. Once you have just a little bit of absinthe in your glass, just roll it around because the idea is to wash the inside of your glass with it. All right, and then I'm gonna set that aside. So for this one, we're gonna be using the same orange simple syrup that I made for my old fashions, which you can check that video out after this if you would like. This recipe calls for a half an ounce. Obviously, if you prefer yours to be a little less sweet, you could use less than that. Typically when I make an old fashioned, I just use a bar spoonful, but for this one, because of the addition of the absinthe, I do like to use a little bit more simple syrup. And then I'm using my Redemption rye again. Rye is traditionally used, but you could definitely use bourbon if you prefer that. So we're doing 2 ounces of rye. To finish it off, I'm gonna do 2 dashes each of my Angostura and my Peychaud's. And then same thing, we've got another spirit forward drink, so I'm going to stir this one as well. I added my 1 large ice cube to my glass that has the absinthe wash. Pour my drink in there, and I'm going to use the same garnish, lemon peel. Again, skin side down so you get all the oils in the drink. And there you have it, a Sazerac. To the naked eye, these pretty much look the same, which is interesting, but obviously to taste, they have a very different characteristic. The Sazerac is extremely fragrant, not only due to the lemon, but also from the absinthe. It is a little bit sweeter, but still very balanced in my opinion for having a half ounce of syrup in it due to the spicy rye that I added in the absinthe. And then the Vieux Carré kind of blows me away just because you've got so much alcohol in it and you really would not know based on the way that it tastes. It's extremely smooth. So I hope that you'll try these both out, and I hope that you will let me know what you think. Also, please hit that subscribe button and tune in weekly to see what I am mixing up. I am Jenna, and this is Jen and Tonic. Thank you so much.